Welcome to Case Vault. Tonight's file begins not in some abandoned house or on a lonely highway, but in a place designed to be the safest, most secure environment in the modern world. An airport terminal. Bright lights, cameras everywhere, security checks at every turn. It's the last place anyone should be able to disappear. And yet, someone did. On a crisp autumn morning, a woman named Lena arrived at the international airport. Traveling alone, she appeared calm and composed. She bought a ticket, checked in at the counter, and glided through security. Every step was recorded on CCTV. Every movement was tracked. Witnesses remember her calmly waiting near her gate, reading a book as her flight was called. She boarded like everyone else, her boarding pass scanned, her seat number assigned, 17A. But when the plane touched down at its destination, hundreds of miles away, she wasn't there. Her seat was empty. Her name was still on the manifest. Her checked luggage arrived with the flight, circling the carousel, waiting for an owner who would never come. But Lena herself had vanished somewhere between the terminal and the sky. So how is that possible? How can a person disappear in one of the most secure places on Earth, surrounded by cameras, witnesses, and locked corridors that allow no escape? That is the mystery you and I are about to open tonight. The strange case of the woman who never arrived. Let's rewind. Lena was 34 years old, a freelance graphic designer with a reputation for being reliable and punctual. She had no known enemies, no significant debt, and according to her friends and family, she was excited about her trip, a solo vacation she had been planning for months. There were no signs of distress, no last-minute cryptic messages. By all accounts, she was simply a woman heading off for a well-deserved break. Airport security footage was scrutinized frame by frame. There she is buying coffee. There she is showing her passport. And there she is walking down the jet bridge. The camera at the entrance of the jet bridge clearly shows her passing through the gate. The gate agent confirmed scanning her boarding pass. But that's where the clear picture ends. The jet bridge itself, that enclosed tunnel connecting the terminal to the aircraft, has no cameras. It's a blind spot. Investigators were baffled. Did she turn around? The gate agent insisted no one came back. Did she somehow exit the jet bridge? Impossible. They are sealed corridors often suspended high above the tarmac. There are no side doors, no escape hatches. The only way out is onto the plane or back into the terminal. The flight crew was interviewed extensively. The passenger list was checked and rechecked. The passengers seated near 17A were questioned. No one remembered seeing her. It was an early morning flight. Many people were tired, dozing off before takeoff. It's plausible she could have gone unnoticed. But how could she board the plane, be marked as present, and then not be there? One theory emerged: a flaw in the system. Perhaps the scanner registered her boarding pass, but she never physically stepped onto the plane. Maybe she lingered in the jet bridge and, in a moment of confusion during boarding, slipped back into the terminal. But again, the gate agent was certain this didn't happen. And even if it did, where did she go? The airport was searched from top to bottom. Every closet, every utility room, every restricted area. Nothing. Lena had vanished into thin air. Then, a detail from her checked luggage provided a bizarre twist. Tucked away inside a side pocket of her suitcase was a small, worn-out map of the airport's ventilation and maintenance duct system. It was an old schematic, seemingly outdated, but it opened up a chilling new line of inquiry. Could she have accessed this hidden network? It seemed like something out of a movie. The entrances are typically locked and hidden in non-public areas. And even if she found a way in, navigating that dark, complex labyrinth would be almost impossible without expert knowledge. Did she have help? Was she meeting someone? The investigation turned to the airport staff. Background checks were run on every employee who had access to the jet bridge and tarmac that day. Mechanics, baggage handlers, cleaning crews. One maintenance worker was found to have a history of petty theft, but there was no evidence linking him to Lena's disappearance. the trail went cold again. For years, the case remained a perplexing footnote in the annals of unsolved mysteries. A ghost in the machine. A woman who existed on paper but was absent in reality. Lena's family never gave up hope. But with no body and no leads, the official investigation was eventually suspended. But we're not closing the file just yet. The digital age has a way of revealing old secrets. Decades later, a group of urban explorers documenting their descent into the city's forgotten subway tunnels stumbled upon a makeshift shelter deep within the network. And inside, among weathered belongings, was a faded journal. The handwriting was identified as Lena's. The journal didn't solve the mystery entirely, but it painted a picture of a woman desperate to escape her own life, meticulously planning a disappearing act so complete that it defied logic. She had studied the airport for months, not for a vacation, but for an exit. The map wasn't for the ventilation system. It was for an old decommissioned service tunnel that connected a remote part of the airport to the city's old transit lines, a path that no longer existed on any official modern blueprint. She never intended to fly. The ticket, the luggage, the entire act was a brilliant misdirection. She used the blind spot of the jet bridge, not to get on the plane, but to access a forgotten world beneath the airport, a world where she could finally be free. She didn't vanish into the sky. She disappeared into the earth. The case of the woman who never boarded is a stark reminder that sometimes the most elaborate prisons are the ones we build for ourselves, and the most daring escapes don't involve scaling walls, but simply finding a door no one else knew was there. Tonight we delve into one of the most baffling mysteries in modern aviation history: the woman who boarded a plane but never arrived at her destination. This isn't a story about a plane that vanished mid-air. This is about a single passenger who disappeared from a full flight, seemingly into thin air, somewhere between the gate and her seat. To understand what happened, we first need to know who she was. The passenger at the heart of this enigma was Anna Whitford, a 32-year-old marketing consultant from Boston. Friends and colleagues painted a picture of a woman who was the epitome of reliability. She was intelligent, meticulous, and known for her calm demeanor, even under pressure. This was not a person prone to impulsive acts or disorganization. Her travel documents were always perfectly in order, her schedule planned to the minute. She was the kind of person you could set your watch by. On the night of her disappearance, Anna was on a routine business trip. She was scheduled to fly from Boston's Logan Airport to Chicago for a crucial client meeting. This was a short, domestic flight, a route she had flown countless times before. There was nothing about this trip that seemed out of the ordinary. She had purchased her ticket several days in advance, a typical move for a seasoned traveler. She arrived at the airport with plenty of time to spare, avoiding any last-minute rush. We know from digital records that she even texted a friend while waiting in the check-in line, complaining humorously about the weight of her suitcase. Her movements were a textbook example of a normal travel day. Everything was documented, everything was ordinary. Witnesses who saw her at the gate later told investigators that she sat quietly in the waiting area, completely engrossed in a paperback novel. One passenger, in a strange twist of irony, recalled the book seemed to be a mystery. Others described her as calm, unhurried, and simply just another traveler blending into the background of a busy airport. She didn't appear nervous, agitated, or in a rush. She kept to herself, not engaging in conversation with those around her. She was just another face in the crowd. And then we arrive at the critical moment. The boarding call was announced for her flight. Anna, along with the other passengers, stood up and joined the queue. She patiently waited her turn, and when she reached the front, she handed her boarding pass to the gate agent. The scanner beeped, a familiar sound in any airport, confirming her ticket was valid. The system officially logged her as boarded. According to every digital and physical record kept by the airline, Anna Whitford was on that plane. She had passed through security without a problem. She had successfully checked her luggage, which was loaded into the cargo hold. She had presented a valid ticket at the gate. and she had walked down the jet bridge, that enclosed tunnel connecting the terminal to the aircraft. The airline system confirmed it all. By all accounts, she was on board. But here is where the story takes an impossible turn. When the plane touched down in Chicago a couple of hours later and passengers began to deplane, a flight attendant noticed something strange. Seat 17A, the seat assigned to Anna Whitford, was empty. And it hadn't just been vacated during the flight, it looked as though it had never been occupied at all. Her carry-on bag wasn't in the overhead bin. There was no book, no jacket, no sign that anyone had ever sat there. Flight attendants were questioned. They have a procedure to count passengers before takeoff to ensure the numbers match the manifest. On that night, did they miscount? The crew insisted they perform the count, but with a full flight and a quick turnaround, the possibility of human error was immediately considered. However, the passenger who was seated in 17B, the seat right next to Anna's, stated that the seat had been empty for the entire duration of the flight. He remembered it clearly because he had enjoyed the extra elbow room. He never saw anyone approach the seat, sit down, or even place a bag in the overhead compartment above it. This is the core of the paradox. The airline's computers, the gate agent's scanner, and the official passenger manifest all declared that Anna Whitford was on that flight. Yet, eyewitnesses on the plane, including the person sitting right beside her assigned seat, swore she was never there. It was as if she had stepped onto the jet bridge and simply ceased to exist. Investigators were baffled. They immediately re-examined every piece of evidence. They reviewed the security footage from the airport. The cameras clearly showed Anna checking in, passing through the security checkpoint, and walking towards her gate. The last confirmed visual of her joining the boarding line. The angle of the camera at the gate, however, didn't provide a clear view of every single person walking down the jet bridge. It showed her approaching the gate agent, but the view of the jet bridge entrance itself was partially obscured by a pillar and the crowd of people. So where could she have gone? The jet bridge is a sealed environment. It's a simple enclosed walkway with one entrance and one exit, leading directly into the aircraft. There are no side doors, no secret hatches, no other way out. It's designed specifically to be a secure and direct path. Could she have turned around and walked back into the terminal? This seemed highly unlikely. The gate agent who scanned her ticket didn't recall anyone coming back up the jet bridge. Furthermore, if she had, the airline system should have registered a deboarding event, which it did not. Her status remained boarded. The authorities considered every possibility, no matter how outlandish. Did she have a medical emergency on the jet bridge? Unlikely, as someone would have noticed and raised an alarm. Did she somehow slip past the ground crew and get onto the tarmac? Airport tarmacs are among the most secure, monitored areas on the planet. The idea of someone wandering around undetected is almost unthinkable. Every inch is covered by cameras and patrolled by security. No unauthorized person was detected on the tarmac that night. Her checked luggage arrived safely in Chicago, circling the baggage carousel unclaimed. Inside, investigators found her clothes, toiletries, and documents for the client meeting she was supposed to attend. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Her life appeared completely normal. There was no evidence of financial trouble, no secret life, no reason for her to intentionally disappear. Her friends and family were adamant that she would never just walk away from her life. She was excited about an upcoming promotion and was in a stable, long-term relationship. The mystery of Anna Whitford remains unsolved. She was a woman who followed all the rules of air travel, a woman who was digitally and officially placed on an airplane, but who physically was not there. Did she discover something she wasn't supposed to? Was she a victim of an incredibly elaborate and perfectly executed abduction? Or is there a simpler, more mundane explanation that everyone has overlooked? The case of Anna Whitford is a chilling reminder that even in our highly monitored digital world, a person can still vanish without a trace. She stepped into the narrow space of a jet bridge and disappeared from the world. What happened in those few feet of hallway? We may never know. What do you think happened to Anna Whitford? Let me know your theories in the comments below. This case is truly one for the ages, and it makes you wonder just how easily someone can slip through the cracks. Today we're diving into one of the most baffling and chilling mysteries in modern aviation history, a case that seems to defy all logic and explanation. It's the story of Flight 237 and the phantom passenger, Anna Whitford. So, buckle up, because this journey is going to get strange. It was a perfectly ordinary evening as Flight 237 prepared for its journey from Boston to Chicago. Boarding was routine, every single ticket was scanned, and the airline's digital records confirmed that all passengers were accounted for. The manifest was complete. The cabin doors were sealed, the aircraft pushed back from the gate, and it ascended smoothly into the dark night sky. For the passengers and crew, it was just another flight, indistinguishable from thousands of others that crisscrossed the country every day. For the first hour, the cabin was a picture of tranquility. The soft glow of reading lights dotted the darkness. Some passengers were already asleep, and others chatted quietly. The flight attendants moved with practiced ease down the aisle, serving drinks, collecting trash, and ensuring everyone was comfortable. It was the very definition of a routine domestic flight. But deep within the quiet hum of the engines, a mystery was beginning to unfold, one that would turn this ordinary trip into an unsolvable enigma. The first hint that something was wrong came during a standard mid-flight procedure. A flight attendant, following protocol, began a quiet head count to cross-reference with the passenger manifest. It was a simple task she'd done hundreds of times before. She started at the front and worked her way back, her lips moving silently as she tallied the passengers. When she finished, she frowned. The numbers didn't match. She was one short. Thinking she must have miscounted, she started again, this time more slowly, more deliberately. She counted every head, even those slumped in sleep. But the result was the same. She tried a third time, her heart beginning to beat a little faster. Still, one passenger was missing. Her eyes scanned the manifest, her finger landing on the name next to Seat 17A, Anna Whitford. According to the document in her hand, Anna Whitford was supposed to be sitting right there, but Seat 17A was empty. At first, the crew's response was calm and professional. The lead flight attendant assumed the most logical explanation. Anna had simply moved to an empty seat to stretch out, or perhaps she was in one of the restrooms. A quiet search began. They checked every unoccupied seat, peered into every lavatory, and even politely asked passengers if they had seen the woman from 17A. But no one had. The seat was not just empty, it was pristine. There was no forgotten book, no discarded wrapper, no jacket slung over the back. It was as if no one had ever sat there at all. The flight attendants conferred in the galley, their voices low and concerned. They rechecked the boarding records from Boston. The system was clear. Anna Whitford's ticket had been scanned at the gate. She had officially boarded the plane. There was digital proof. How could a person who was scanned onto a sealed aircraft simply not be there? The lead attendant made the decision to inform the captain. Over the intercom, the captain was notified of the discrepancy. He was a veteran pilot, accustomed to handling unexpected situations with a level head. His instructions were clear. Perform another thorough but discreet search. He didn't want to cause a panic. The crew was to check again, more meticulously this time, without alarming the other passengers who were mostly oblivious to the quiet drama unfolding. They looked under blankets, in overhead bins, and any other conceivable hiding spot, no matter how illogical. The result was unchanged. Anna Whitford, a passenger who had boarded this plane according to every official record, was not physically on board. As the plane continued its journey towards Chicago, a sense of deep unease settled over the crew. They were trapped in a logical paradox. The gate scanner said she was on board. The manifest said she was on board. But their own eyes told them she was not. It was a contradiction with no apparent solution. For the rest of the flight, the crew kept their professional composure, but the empty seat 17A, was a silent, screaming anomaly in the otherwise orderly cabin. They were flying with a ghost in their machine. When Flight 237 finally touched down at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, the crew performed one last, final head count as the passengers remained seated. They were hoping, against all odds, that they had been wrong, that Anna would magically reappear. But the count was the same, one passenger short. The mystery had traveled with them all the way from Boston. As the passengers began to deplane, airport authorities were discreetly notified, and they met the crew ready to investigate this impossible situation. And this is where the story takes its most inexplicable turn. The passengers were gone, the crew was being debriefed, and the ground staff began their final tasks. The luggage from Flight 237 started to roll onto the carousel in the baggage claim area. And there, amidst the sea of suitcases, was a standard black rolling bag with a tag clearly printed, Anna Whitford. Her suitcase, tagged and scanned in Boston, had completed the journey. It had been loaded onto the plane, flown to Chicago, and was now circling the carousel, waiting for an owner who had vanished into thin air somewhere between the gate and 35,000 feet. On paper, every part of Anna Whitford's journey was complete. Her ticket was used. Her name was on the manifest. Her luggage had arrived safely at its destination. But the person herself, the living, breathing woman named Anna Whitford, was gone. She had stepped through the gate in Boston, and in doing so, had seemingly stepped out of existence. The investigation that followed found no answers, only more questions. No security footage showed her leaving. No passenger remembered anything unusual. It was a perfect, impossible disappearance. What do you think happened to Anna Whitford? How does a person board a plane and then simply cease to be there? Was it a glitch in the system? A bizarre clerical error of epic proportions? Or was it something else, something far stranger that we can't even begin to comprehend? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. Have you ever heard of a magic trick where someone vanishes into thin air? Well, today's story is like that, but it's real. And it happened in one of the most secure places imaginable, an airport. This is the baffling case of Anna Whitford, a woman who walked into a jet bridge and was never seen again. It all started when United Flight 237 touched down in Chicago. Passengers flooded into the terminal, but one was missing: Anna Whitford. At first, the airline staff weren't too worried. Maybe she missed her connection, maybe she got on the wrong flight. These things happen. But then, her luggage appeared on the baggage carousel, circling patiently. That's when the simple error became a complex mystery. If her bags were here, where was she? Airline records were crystal clear. Anna Whitford was checked in and confirmed for Flight 237. Desperate for answers, officials in Chicago contacted Boston Logan Airport, her point of departure. Their request was simple: find her. Investigators immediately turned to the airport's eyes and ears, its sprawling network of security cameras. They began to pull hours of footage, meticulously tracing Anna's journey through the terminal. What they found sent a shiver down their spines. There she was, clear as day, walking through the sliding glass doors of Boston Logan. She looked calm, composed, holding a small carry-on bag. The cameras followed her every move. We see her at the check-in counter, politely handing over her larger suitcase, the very one that would later be found spinning on the carousel in Chicago. Next, she moved on to the TSA checkpoint. The footage shows her placing her bag on the conveyor belt, walking through the scanner, and collecting her belongings on the other side. No alarms, no issues. It was a perfectly normal security screening. She was just another face in the crowd, another traveler on her way. After security, the cameras continued to track her. We see her buying a coffee at a small kiosk, then finding a seat in the bustling gate area. She sat down, opened a book, and began to read. Investigators even spoke to other passengers who were waiting for the same flight. They remembered her, a quiet woman keeping to herself, absorbed in her reading. Nothing seemed out of place. Everything was documented, every step accounted for. Then came the final, crucial moments. The gate agent announced the start of boarding for Flight 237. The camera at the gate, time-stamped just minutes before departure, captured the scene. Anna stood up, gathered her things, and joined the line of passengers. We see her step forward, hand her boarding pass to the gate agent. The scanner beeped green, confirming her ticket. She smiled, took her pass back, and walked forward, stepping onto the jet bridge, that enclosed tunnel connecting the terminal to the aircraft. And that was it. That was the last image of Anna Whitford that exists. On every single camera, in every frame of footage, she simply vanished. One moment she was there, walking into the jet bridge, and the next, she was gone. Investigators were stunned. They checked every possible angle. Was there footage of her stepping onto the plane itself? No. The cameras inside the aircraft cabin didn't show her. Did she somehow turn back and exit the jet bridge? No. The gate camera showed no one coming back out. Did an alarm go off? Was an emergency door opened? No, the system logs showed nothing. It was as if the jet bridge had swallowed her whole. They replayed the tapes over and over again. They scrutinized them, looking for glitches, blind spots, or any editing trickery. They brought in experts, but the footage was clean. The timeline was seamless. Anna Whitford walked into one of the most secure, monitored, and controlled spaces in the modern world and disappeared. Think about it. A jet bridge is essentially a sealed tube. There are only two ways to go: forward onto the plane or backward into the terminal. There are no secret hatches, no side doors for passengers. It's a straight path. Yet, for Anna, it became a path to nowhere. The airline staff, the flight crew, the other passengers, no one had an explanation. The pilots in the cockpit were preparing for takeoff. They didn't see her. The flight attendants greeting passengers at the aircraft door swore she never boarded. The people in line behind her saw her walk onto the jet bridge but never saw her again. What happened inside that tunnel? Did she meet someone? Was there a hidden structural flaw, a gap no one knew about? Investigators physically inspected the jet bridge from top to bottom. They found nothing. It was just a normal, functioning piece of airport equipment. The theories began to fly. Was it a planned disappearance? If so, how? How could someone orchestrate a vanishing act in such a high surveillance environment without leaving a single trace? It would require an accomplice, perhaps even inside help, but there was no evidence to support this. Every airport employee on duty was questioned and cleared. Could it have been something more sinister? An abduction? Again, how? To pull off a kidnapping in a narrow jet bridge, with passengers just a few feet away, without anyone seeing or hearing anything, seems impossible. It defies all logic. The investigators were left with a digital ghost, a woman who existed on camera right up to the threshold of the plane and then ceased to exist. Her digital trail ended as abruptly as her physical one. Her bank accounts were never touched again. Her phone was never used. No friends or family ever heard from her. The case of Anna Whitford remains one of the most perplexing, unsolved mysteries of our time. It challenges our understanding of security, surveillance, and reality itself. A person can't just evaporate, but all the evidence, or rather the lack of it, suggests that's exactly what happened. She walked toward her flight into a short, sterile corridor and stepped off the edge of the world. What do you think happened to Anna Whitford? A perfect escape? A tragic, unknown accident? Or something else entirely? Something we can't even begin to comprehend? Let me know your theories in the comments below. This story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the most bewildering mysteries happen in the most ordinary places. Have you ever walked down a jet bridge, that narrow tunnel connecting the airport gate to the plane? It feels like a space outside of time, a simple corridor to get you from point A to point B. But what if that corridor led to nowhere? What if someone entered it and simply vanished? This is the baffling story of Anna Whitford, and a disappearance that defies all logic. It was a routine evening flight, passengers lining up, boarding passes in hand. Anna Whitford, just like everyone else, had her pass scanned by the gate agent. The digital beep confirmed her entry into the jet bridge. She was officially on her way to the aircraft. But she never made it. When the flight crew did their final head count, one seat was empty. Seat 14B, Anna's seat. She wasn't on the plane. A quick check with the gate confirmed she had boarded. So where was she? Panic began to ripple through the airport staff. An immediate search was launched. They checked the plane again, every overhead bin, every lavatory. Nothing. They checked the terminal, thinking maybe she had somehow turned back, but the gate doors were locked and alarmed. The system showed no breaches. No alarms had been triggered. Anna Whitford was not in the terminal, and she was not on the plane. The only place she could possibly be was the jet bridge itself. Security personnel rushed to the sealed corridor. They searched every inch of the metal walkway, but it was empty. The jet bridge, they explained, is a closed system. Once you're in, there's only one way to go. Forward, onto the aircraft. There are no side doors, no trap doors, no secret exits. It's a sterile, secure tube. Yet, Anna was gone. It was as if she had stepped into the jet bridge and been erased from existence. Investigators were called in, and the jet bridge became the focal point of an impossible puzzle. They started by interviewing every single person who had been on that flight. Passenger after passenger was questioned. Did you see a woman acting strangely? Did anyone turn back? Did you notice any commotion? The answers were all the same, a resounding no. Everyone remembered a calm, orderly boarding process. They remembered shuffling along, finding their seats, stowing their bags. No one recalled seeing a woman in distress. No one saw anyone try to leave the line, and absolutely no one saw anything unusual happen inside the narrow walkway. To them, Anna was just another face in the crowd, until she was no longer there. The gate agents and crew were just as baffled. They were adamant about their procedures. Once a boarding pass is scanned, the passenger is considered boarded. The doors leading back to the terminal are secured. Any attempt to open them would have set off a deafening alarm and alerted the entire security team. That night, there was only silence. The system logs were pristine. No alarms, no errors, no recorded malfunctions. According to the technology and the people running it, Anna Whitford had to be on that plane. Frustrated, the investigators brought in a team of top-tier security experts, specialists who designed these very systems. They were tasked with one question: is it possible to get out of a jet bridge undetected? They examined the schematics, reviewed the security protocols, and physically walked the path Anna had taken. Their conclusion was unanimous and firm. There is no way to vanish from this corridor. They explained that the jet bridge is one of the most controlled spaces in an airport. It's a one-way street with no turnoffs. And yet, there was one glaring, almost unbelievable oversight. In this high-tech, highly monitored environment, there was a blind spot. While cameras covered the gate area and the entrance to the plane itself, there were no cameras inside the jet bridge. That short, unrecorded stretch of maybe 100 feet was a complete void in the surveillance network. A blind spot where, against all odds, a woman had disappeared. The evidence was a collection of contradictions. The boarding pass scan was indisputable proof that Anna had entered the jet bridge. The testimony of every passenger and staff member confirmed that nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. The security experts insisted that an escape was impossible. But the empty seat on the plane was a stark reality. Anna Whitford was gone. How does a person vanish in plain sight, in a locked, sealed corridor surrounded by people? Was there a flaw in the system that everyone missed? Was there a human element that no one was admitting to? Or was it something else entirely? Something that stretched the boundaries of what we consider possible? The case of Anna Whitford remains one of the most perplexing, unsolved mysteries in aviation history. It's a story that challenges our understanding of security, surveillance, and reality itself. A woman walked into a tunnel and never came out the other side. The passengers saw nothing. The staff confirmed the systems worked perfectly, and the experts all agreed that what happened should be impossible. But that night, the impossible happened, leaving behind only an empty seat and a question that haunts investigators to this day. Where is Anna Whitford? This story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the most bewildering mysteries happen not in the dark woods or on a lonely road, but in the most monitored and controlled environments we've created. Have you ever wondered if it's possible to just vanish? Not in some remote wilderness, but in one of the most monitored, secure, and technologically advanced places on Earth, an international airport. This is the story of Anna Whitford, a story that begins with a routine flight and ends with a question that defies all logic, a disappearance that has stumped investigators, baffled engineers, and continues to haunt everyone who hears it. Because in a world of cameras, scanners, and digital footprints, how can a person simply cease to exist between the boarding gate and the plane? In the days immediately following Anna Whitford's disappearance, the pressure was immense. The authorities were scrambling, desperately trying to provide answers to a public that was growing more anxious by the minute. The airline, facing a potential PR nightmare, just wanted closure. Investigators were caught in the middle trying to piece together a coherent story while preventing mass panic. The problem was, every single theory they came up with, every plausible explanation, just fell apart the moment it was put to the test. The very first explanation they floated was simple, almost laughably so. They suggested it was just a clerical error. It happens, right? Boarding passes get misread, numbers get punched in wrong, records get mismatched. The theory was that maybe, just maybe, Anna's ticket had been scanned, but she never actually got on the plane. For a lot of people who were desperate for an easy, clean resolution, this was a really comforting thought. It grounded the mystery in something familiar and mundane. But that comfort didn't last long. When officials dug into the digital logs, the truth was stark and undeniable. The scanner had registered her unique barcode. Her name, her seat number, her ticket, every single detail matched up perfectly. It wasn't just a digital ghost. Multiple witnesses came forward, and they all remembered the same thing. Seeing her physically walk onto the jet bridge right after that telltale beep confirmed her entry. So, no. It was not a simple clerical error. Anna was there. With the first theory debunked, investigators moved on to the next logical possibility: disguise. Was it possible that Anna Whitford wanted to disappear? Airports are chaotic, bustling hubs, filled with thousands of people rushing to and fro. It's the perfect place to get lost if you want to. The new theory proposed that she had boarded the jet bridge only to slip back out into the terminal wearing a disguise, blending into the crowd to start a new life. It sounded like something straight out of a movie. So, the investigators got to work. They pulled every second of surveillance footage from every camera in the vicinity. They replayed hours and hours of it, going through it frame by painstaking frame, searching for any sign of a suspicious figure, anyone who looked even remotely out of place. But the result was always the same, a frustrating dead end. The footage clearly shows Anna walking into the terminal as herself, looking calm, composed, and completely unhurried. And absolutely no one resembling her, or anyone trying to conceal their identity, ever returned from that jet bridge. Not a swapped coat, not a different scarf, not a hat pulled low, nothing. It was as if she walked through a one-way door. This led them to a more technical suggestion. Maybe it wasn't human error or deliberate deception. Maybe it was the machine. Some argued that the boarding pass scanner itself could have malfunctioned. Perhaps the beep was faulty. The system glitched, and it incorrectly recorded Anna's boarding pass while she was turned away. This was a solid theory, as technology, for all its wonders, is not infallible. A glitch could explain everything. But just like the others, this theory collapsed under scrutiny. Experts were brought in to inspect the scanner. They ran every diagnostic imaginable. Their conclusion? The machine had processed hundreds of other tickets that day without a single flaw. There were no double scans, no missed reads, no errors of any kind. To hammer the point home, the airline's own internal IT logs confirmed that everything was functioning perfectly at the time Anna boarded. The technology was working exactly as it was designed to. As the days turned into weeks, the official reports started to fill the silence, but they were filled with empty words. The authorities used vague, corporate-sounding language like a possible data discrepancy or potential human oversight. These phrases gave the illusion of an ongoing investigation, of progress being made, but in reality, they explained absolutely nothing. They were just words to placate the media and the public. Because each time a new possibility was raised, it was meticulously tested against the cold, hard evidence, and each time, it failed. The facts of the case remained stubborn, unchangeable, and completely contradictory. The CCTV footage confirmed she entered the terminal. Airport security confirmed they checked her ID and her ticket. The boarding pass scanner confirmed that she boarded the flight. Witnesses confirmed they saw her step onto the jet bridge. And yet, there was no footage of her ever getting on the plane. There was no footage of her exiting the jet bridge. No emergency alarm was ever triggered. There was no sign of a disguise, and there was absolutely no error in the system. No exit, no disguise, no error. It was as if Anna Whitford hadn't been erased by a system failure or a clever trick, but by something else entirely. Something that defied the very logic of the systems we've built to make our world safe and predictable. Airports are supposed to be among the most secure, monitored places on Earth. Every movement is tracked, every identity verified. But on that day, all of that technology, all of those procedures, failed to account for one impossible fact. A person walked onto a jet bridge and never came out the other side. She was accounted for, right up to the point she simply wasn't. The question that remains isn't just where is Anna Whitford, but how is what happened to her even possible? The story of Anna Whitford serves as a chilling reminder that even in our hyper-documented world, some mysteries refuse to be solved, and some questions may never have an answer. When logic fails, whispers begin. And in the case of Anna Whitford, those whispers started not in official press conferences, but among the people who were actually there that night, the witnesses. In their statements, buried deep in case files, were fragments too strange, too unsettling for the official report. Details the authorities simply couldn't or wouldn't acknowledge. One traveler, a man waiting for the same flight, swore he saw something unusual as Anna walked down that jet bridge. She didn't just walk out of sight, he told investigators, his voice trembling slightly. It was like she blurred, like her outline wasn't solid. I blinked and she was just gone. His words were quickly dismissed. Nerves, they said, a trick of the light. But he repeated his claim over and over again to anyone who would listen. She seemed to fade away. His wasn't the only strange account. In the quiet corners of the internet, on late-night forums and in hushed conversations, others who had been there began to share their thoughts. They started talking about airports in a way most of us never do. Not as simple travel hubs, but as something else. They called them liminal spaces, thresholds, places that exist between destinations, between our old lives and our new ones, between different states of being. An airport is a place where everyone is in transition. Your identity is checked, stripped down at security, and then rebuilt on the other side when you land. It's a place of constant flux. For some, it wasn't a huge leap to imagine that a liminal space, a place so detached from normal reality, might sometimes open up into something stranger. What if, they asked, when Anna stepped onto that jet bridge, she stepped into a threshold not meant for us? The rumors began to swirl, each more fantastic than the last. Some speculated that she had boarded a plane, just not our plane. That maybe, in that split second she scanned her ticket, she had inadvertently crossed into a parallel version of the flight, another reality altogether. In our reality, her seat, 34B, was empty. But what if, in another, she sat quietly reading a book, completely unaware that she had slipped across the veil? Paranormal investigators, drawn to the case like moths to a flame, pointed to the very nature of the disappearance itself. There was no noise, no panic, no struggle. Not a single piece of physical evidence was left behind. It was too clean, too sudden. It was almost like a vanishing act, performed flawlessly on a grand stage. Except this stage was a sealed, sterile corridor, watched by dozens of people, none of whom could agree on what they saw, or more importantly, what they didn't see. To the skeptics, of course, these ideas were laughable. They were the stuff of science fiction, ghost stories told around a campfire. But to those who had been there, who had seen Anna Whitford with their own eyes, who swore she was there one moment and gone the next, no explanation seemed too far-fetched anymore. When the logical world fails to provide an answer, the mind begins to wander into the illogical. And so, a new theory, a new file, was unofficially opened in the case of Anna Whitford. Not clerical error, not a clever disguise, not a technical malfunction, but something far beyond our comprehension. Something that suggested Anna's final walk down that narrow, pressurized hallway wasn't toward a waiting airplane at all, but toward an exit that no one else could see. Let's dissect this idea of liminal spaces a bit more, because it's a concept that has haunted philosophers and artists for centuries, and it might just be the key here. The word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. It's the in-between, the waiting room, the space between what was and what's next. Think about it. Hallways, stairwells, waiting rooms, and yes, airports. They are all places you pass through, not places where you stay. You are neither here nor there. You are suspended. In folklore and mythology from around the world, these in-between places are often considered magical or dangerous. They are where the veil between worlds is thinnest, where spirits can cross over, where time can bend, and where people can, sometimes, get lost. In Irish folklore, these are the thin places. In Japanese culture, you have the concept of ma, the empty space between things that is full of energy and possibility. Could Gate A7 at this particular airport have been one of these thin places? Was there something unique about that specific time, that specific location? Some researchers have tried to find patterns, looking for other strange disappearances or odd occurrences at that same gate, or even in the airport's history. Was the airport built on ancient, significant land? Was there a confluence of unseen energies that night? These questions lead us down a rabbit hole of high strangeness. The idea of parallel realities, once purely theoretical physics, has become a staple of modern storytelling. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every quantum measurement, every decision, splits the universe into countless copies. In one universe, you turned left. In another, you turned right. What if the jet bridge, that perfect symbol of transition, acted as a temporary, unstable bridge between two of these realities? Imagine Anna, perhaps distracted, her mind already on her destination. As she walks, the vibrational frequency of her reality momentarily aligns with another. For an infinitesimal moment, two worlds overlap, and she, caught in the middle, simply continues walking, stepping from one reality into the other as easily as stepping over a crack in the sidewalk. She wouldn't even notice. She would get on her plane, land, and continue her life, never knowing that in the universe she left behind, she became one of the greatest mysteries of the 21st century. This theory, as wild as it sounds, actually explains some of the most baffling parts of the case better than any conventional explanation. It explains the blurring effect the witness described. What would a person look like if they were momentarily existing in two places at once? It would be like a faulty projection, a glitch in the matrix, an outline that isn't solid. It also explains the complete lack of evidence. She didn't get smuggled off. She didn't climb out a non-existent window. She simply wasn't there anymore. She was deleted from our reality's code. This is why the dogs couldn't find a scent trail leading anywhere but the jet bridge entrance. Her trail didn't end, it was severed. The authorities, bound by procedure and the laws of our known universe, could never entertain such a theory publicly. It's unprovable. It's untestable. It offers no arrests, no closure, no body to recover. It only offers a chilling existential question. How solid is the world around us? If Anna Whitford could slip through the cracks, could anyone? This idea is deeply unsettling because it strikes at the core of our understanding of reality. We trust that the floor beneath our feet is solid, that the person in front of us is real, that when we walk down a hallway, we will come out the other end. The case of Anna Whitford suggests that maybe, just maybe, those are assumptions we can't always afford to make. That in certain places, at certain times, the rules we take for granted might not apply. So as we try to piece together this impossible puzzle, we are left with a ghost story for the modern age. A story without a ghost, without a crime, but with a profound and terrifying absence. The empty space where a person used to be. The case of Anna Whitford remains open, not because the police are still looking for a suspect, but because, perhaps, they don't even know what they should be looking for. A person, a glitch, or a doorway to somewhere else entirely. Have you ever stood in that jet bridge, that narrow corridor connecting the airport gate to the plane, and felt like you were in a place outside of time? It's a liminal space, a sealed tube suspended between two worlds. For most of us, it's a forgettable few steps on our journey. But for one woman, that passage became the last place she was ever accounted for. This is the story of Anna Whitford, and the baffling case officially labeled Missing from Aircraft. Let's set the scene. It's a routine travel day. Anna Whitford is a professional, scheduled for an important client meeting in Chicago. She's prepared, organized, and by all accounts, looking forward to the trip. She checks in, goes through security, and makes her way to the gate. Her boarding pass is scanned, a small beep confirming her place on the flight. From that moment, she enters the jet bridge. And then, nothing. In Chicago, the plane lands on schedule. Passengers deplane, and the baggage carousel begins to turn. A suitcase, tagged with Anna Whitford's name, emerges and makes its steady loop. It's collected by airport staff when no one claims it. Inside, her life is packed and ready for the days ahead. Clean clothes, neatly folded. A presentation folder filled with notes for the meeting she was meant to lead. Her toiletries, her toothbrush still capped. Everything a person would pack for a normal business trip. Her luggage arrived, but Anna did not. The initial assumption was simple. She must have missed the flight. Maybe she turned back at the last second, had a change of heart, or got held up. But the airline system was clear. Her boarding pass was scanned. In the digital world, she had boarded the plane, but in the physical world, seat 17A remained empty for the entire flight. The flight attendants did their head count, but on a busy flight, one empty seat might not raise immediate alarm, especially if the system showed it as occupied. The discrepancy wasn't noticed until it was far too late. When her family couldn't reach her, panic set in. Her employer in Chicago reported her as a no-show for the critical meeting she had spent weeks preparing for. The investigation began, and right away, it hit a wall, a very literal, physical wall. The jet bridge. It's a closed system. Once your pass is scanned, there's one way to go, forward, onto the plane. There are no side doors, no secret hatches, no exits. Turning back would mean going against the flow of boarding passengers and being stopped by gate agents. No one saw her do this. Investigators pored over every frame of security footage. They saw her clearly at the gate, calm and composed, waiting for her boarding group to be called. They saw her walk up, present her pass, and step into the jet bridge. And that's where the trail goes cold. The cameras are positioned at the gate, not inside the jet bridge itself, leaving a blind spot of about 50 feet. 50 feet where a person seemingly ceased to exist. Could she have chosen to disappear? This was the first theory floated. Maybe she was running away from her life. But the evidence screamed otherwise. Her family was devastated, insisting she had no reason to leave. She was happy, stable, and had strong relationships. Her friends confirmed it, talking about the future plans she had just been making with them. Financially, she was secure. No debts, no secret struggles, no hidden life waiting to be uncovered. Her digital footprint was equally mundane: emails about work, messages with friends about dinner, a search history for restaurants in Chicago. This wasn't the profile of someone engineering their own vanishing act. Her meticulously packed suitcase, sent ahead to its destination, was the most powerful argument against this theory. Why send your belongings somewhere you never intend to be? So if she didn't run, what happened? The investigators were stumped. They interviewed every gate agent, every flight attendant, every member of the ground crew. No one remembered anything unusual. It was just another flight, another sea of faces. They re-examined the passenger manifest and interviewed people who would have been sitting near seat 17A. No one recalled seeing her, but more importantly, no one recalled any commotion or empty seat being a topic of conversation. The space where Anna should have been was simply a void. The case file grew thicker with reports that all led to the same dead end. Every logical path was explored and exhausted. Was there a maintenance hatch in the jet bridge floor? No. Could someone have overpowered her and taken her from that sealed corridor? It seemed impossible without causing a major scene. The boarding process is a steady stream of people. A struggle would have been noticed. The official report was forced into a corner, settling on a description that is as chilling as it is bureaucratic. Missing from aircraft. 3 words that defy all logic. How do you go missing from an aircraft you were never confirmed to be on after the system says you boarded? How do you vanish from a sealed tube suspended 40 feet in the air? It's a paradox that has haunted aviation circles for years. It's the kind of story pilots and cabin crews share on long-haul flights, a modern ghost story where the ghost isn't a spirit but a data point, a scanned boarding pass for a passenger who wasn't there. Airlines, for obvious reasons, don't like to talk about the case of Anna Whitford. It exposes a bizarre, almost impossible-to-believe loophole in a system we trust with our lives every day. We trust that the scan of a boarding pass equals a person on a plane. But Anna's story challenges that certainty. It suggests a gap, a blind spot not just in the cameras, but in the very process of air travel itself. Years have passed. The world has moved on. But for Anna's family, time has stood still since the day she walked into that jet bridge. There has been no closure, no answers, not even a credible theory to hold on to. There is only the cold, hard fact of her absence and a suitcase full of belongings that completed a journey she never did. The file remains open, a cold case gathering dust in an archive. 1 suitcase, 1 scanned boarding pass, 1 vanished passenger. It's a puzzle with all the pieces on the table, except for the most important one. The mystery of what happened in those 50 feet of the jet bridge is locked away, perhaps forever, with Anna Whitford herself. Her name is still in the airline's records, a digital ghost assigned to seat 17A, a seat that flew across the country completely empty, a silent testament to the woman who was marked, forever, by a phrase no one knows how to explain: missing from aircraft. What do you think happened to Anna Whitford? Share your theories in the comments below. Some mysteries begin in dark alleys, in remote woods, in places where shadows conceal the truth. They whisper on the wind in forgotten towns or hide in the murky depths of a cold, deep lake. But this mystery, one of the most baffling and unsettling of our time, began under the bright, sterile lights of a modern airport terminal, one of the most secure, most watched environments in the world. Imagine it. Cameras on every wall, their lenses a constant unblinking eye. Guards at every checkpoint, trained to spot the unusual, the out of place. Digital records for every step, from check-in to the boarding gate. And yet, on a crisp autumn evening at Boston Logan International Airport, Anna Whitford vanished as if none of those safeguards existed. She wasn't lost in the wilderness or swept away by the sea. She disappeared in the tiny, controlled space between the terminal and the cabin of a commercial aircraft. A distance of only a few steps. A space where, by every measure of logic and procedure, vanishing should have been utterly impossible. Let's set the scene. It's October 18th. The air is cool and the airport is humming with the familiar rhythm of travel. Families are returning from vacations, business travelers are rushing to their next meetings. Among them is Anna Whitford, a 34-year-old architect known for her sharp mind and quiet, observant nature. She's not a person who draws attention. She moves through the world with a calm purposefulness. Today, she is booked on Flight 237 to London, a routine transatlantic flight she's taken several times before for work. Her journey through the airport is perfectly normal, almost painfully so. We can trace her every move through the airport's security footage and digital records. She checks in her luggage, a single heavy suitcase filled with architectural drawings and personal belongings. She passes through security without a hitch. She buys a coffee and a magazine at a terminal kiosk, the transaction recorded on her credit card. She even makes a brief phone call to her sister, telling her she's about to board and will call her when she lands at Heathrow. Everything is accounted for. Everything is normal. At 9:45 p.m., the call for Flight 237 begins. Anna joins the queue at Gate C19. The gate agent, a veteran employee named Maria, remembers her. She recalls Anna's calm demeanor, her polite smile as she handed over her passport and boarding pass. The scanner beeps. Green light. Anna Whitford is officially checked in for boarding. Maria watches her turn and walk down the jet bridge, that enclosed, sterile tunnel connecting the gate to the aircraft. And that is the last confirmed sighting of Anna Whitford. Inside the aircraft, the flight attendants are preparing for departure. They greet passengers, help with overhead luggage, and conduct their final checks. The minutes tick by. The plane is nearly full. The captain announces they'll be closing the doors shortly, but a quick head count reveals a discrepancy. Seat 17A is empty. They check the manifest. The seat belongs to Anna Whitford. Her boarding pass was scanned. She should be on this plane. A flight attendant walks the aisle, checking one last time. No Anna. They call back to the gate agent, Maria. Is there a passenger named Whitford still in the terminal? Maria is confused. No, she replies. I scanned her through myself. She walked down the jet bridge 10 minutes ago. Think about that for a second. The jet bridge is a sealed tube. There are no side doors, no windows to open, no escape hatches. It's a straight line from point A, the gate, to point B, the plane's door. You walk in one end and out the other. You can't just cease to exist within it. The airline staff, initially annoyed by the delay, quickly become concerned. A search is initiated. They check the airplane's lavatories. They ask passengers in her row if they saw her. No one did. They search the jet bridge itself from end to end. It's empty. Security is called. The terminal area around Gate C19 is combed. The bathrooms, the shops, the waiting areas, nothing. It's as if she walked into the jet bridge and was simply erased. The flight is delayed for over 2 hours as a full-scale search gets underway. Airport police and federal agents swarm the area. They review the security footage frame by frame. They see her check in. They see her go through security. They see her at the gate. They see her walk into the mouth of the jet bridge. But she never emerges on the camera pointed at the aircraft's entrance. The footage from inside the plane shows no record of her ever stepping aboard. The puzzle deepens when her luggage arrives in London. Her heavy suitcase, filled with her life and work, completes the journey she was supposed to take. But the seat she paid for, the seat she was scanned in for, remained empty across the entire Atlantic Ocean. Her case file, which still sits in official archives, is thin, incomplete, and filled with far more questions than answers. It's marked with 3 haunting words: missing from aircraft. So what happened in those final moments? What could possibly explain this impossible disappearance? Let's explore the theories, from the logical to the truly strange. The first, most rational theory is that Anna orchestrated a brilliant escape. Was she running from something or to something? Investigators looked into her life. She was successful, financially stable, and had strong relationships with her family and friends. There was no evidence of debt, no hidden troubles, no secret lover waiting for her somewhere. But could she have been that good at hiding her true intentions? Perhaps she found an accomplice. Maybe a member of the ground crew or even an airline employee helped her slip away. They could have led her to a service exit or a maintenance area hidden from the cameras. But this theory has major holes. Every person working in that secure area is tracked. The level of coordination and risk involved would be immense, and for what motive? No ransom was ever demanded, no note was ever found, and after all these years, not a single person has ever come forward. Could she have found a flaw in the system? Did Anna, the meticulous architect, spot a structural or procedural loophole that no one else had ever seen? A forgotten service panel in the jet bridge? A way to access the tarmac undetected? Authorities scoured every inch of that jet bridge. It was a standard model, used in airports all over the world. They found nothing. No loose panels, no hidden doors, nothing to suggest a secret exit. To believe this theory is to believe that Anna Whitford found a way to become invisible in one of the most visible places on Earth, and then successfully evaded a massive international manhunt without leaving a single trace. A perfect escape designed to baffle investigators for decades to come. But then the theories take a turn towards the uncanny. What if our understanding of the world is incomplete? Airports, after all, are strange places. They are liminal spaces. Thresholds between one place and another, places of transit where thousands of lives intersect for a brief moment before scattering across the globe. They exist outside of normal time and space, zones of perpetual waiting and departure. What if, in that transient space of the jet bridge, Anna didn't slip past a security guard, but slipped through a crack in reality itself? What if she didn't vanish from our world, but simply stepped into another? This idea sounds like science fiction, but it's a thought that has captivated those who have studied her case. The jet bridge was a tunnel between 2 points. What if it briefly became a tunnel to somewhere else entirely, a place with no manifests, no flight plans, and no CCTV systems to record her arrival? Consider this. There are countless stories throughout history of people vanishing without a trace from locked rooms or open fields. These are often dismissed as folklore. But what happened to Anna Whitford happened in our time, under the full glare of modern technology. Every logical explanation leads to a dead end. Every rational path is blocked. When logic fails, where else can the mind go? The truth is, no one knows. Not the airline, not the authorities, not even the family she left behind, who for years held on to the hope that she would one day walk back into their lives with an unbelievable story to tell. But the years turned into decades, and the silence remained unbroken. Now the question passes to you. What is your theory? Do you believe Anna was a master of evasion who pulled off the perfect disappearing act, leaving a life she secretly wanted to escape? Was she the victim of an incredibly complex and well-hidden crime, abducted from within the secure confines of an airport? Or was something far stranger at play that night in Boston? Something that defies our understanding of the world? Share your theory in the comments below. Let's discuss, debate, and explore the possibilities. Because as long as we keep searching for answers, as long as we keep asking questions, this case, like Anna Whitford's empty seat on Flight 237, will remain open. And in keeping her memory alive, we honor the profound mystery she left behind. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unexplained. If you find these kinds of stories as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. We have a lot more ground to cover, and I can't wait to explore it with you. Until next time, stay curious.